नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Today we are reading from Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 13, The Dynasty of Maharaj Nimi, text number 10. देहं नावरुरुत्थेऽहं दुःखशोकभयावहं सर्वत्रास्य यतो मृत्युर्मत्स्यानाम् उदके यथा। देहं नावरुरुत्थेऽहं दुःखशोकभयावहं सर्वत्रास्य यतो मृत्युर्मत्स्यानाम् उदके यथा। देहं नावरुरुत्थेऽहं दुःखशोकभयावहं सर्वत्रास्य यतो मत्स्यानाम् उदके यथा। माताजी, what word meaning? Deham, a material body. Na, not. Avavuruthe, desire to accept. Aham, I. Dukkha shoka bhayavaham, which is the cause of all kinds of distress, lamentation and fear. Sarvatra, always and everywhere within this universe. asya, of the living entities who have accepted material bodies. Yataha, because mrityu, death, matsyanam, of the fish, udake, living within the water, yatha, like. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. So this is Maharaj Nimish saying. He says, I do not wish to accept a material body, for such a body is the source of all distress, lamentation and fear. Everywhere in the universe, just as it is for a fish in the water, which lives always in anxiety because of fear of death. Purport. The material body, whether in the higher or lower planetary system, is destined to die. In the lower planetary system or lower species of life, one may die soon, and in the higher planets or higher species, one may live for a long, long time. But death is inevitable. This fact should be understood. In the human form of life, one should take the opportunity to put an end to birth, death, old age, and disease by performing tapasya. This is the aim of human civilization, to stop the repetition of birth and death, which is called mrityu samsara vartmani. This can be done only when one is Krishna conscious or has achieved the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. Otherwise, one must rot in this material world and accept a material body subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. The example given here is that water is a very nice place for a fish, but the fish is never free from anxiety about death, since big fish are always eager to eat the small fish. Phalguni tatra mahatam. All living entities are eaten by bigger living entities. This is the way of material nature. Ahastani sahastanam apadani chatushpadam phalguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. Those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for the four-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong. And the general rule holds that one living being is food for another. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has created the material world in such a way that one living entity is food for another. Thus, there is a struggle for existence. But although we speak of survival of the fittest, no one can escape death without becoming a devotee of the Lord. Harim vina naiva smritim taranti. One cannot escape the cycle of birth and death without becoming a devotee. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Aprapyamam nivartante mrityu sansara vartmani. One who does not attain shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna must certainly wander up and down within the cycle of birth and death. Om Jnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpa tarubhyasya kripa sindubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna. All of us in our childhood days, or now also we might be seeing, there is a toy that comes. If you trigger it or you charge it, sort of a drummer, it plays. Tatada, 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 isn't it? We must have played it, isn't it, in our childhood days? Now also we gift sometimes to the kids. So when the living entity comes into this material world, this is also programmed in 4 ways. Ahar Nidra Bhayamaithun, Ahar Nidra Bhayamaithun, Ahar Nidra Bhayamaithun. No matter how rich he becomes or famous he becomes, or he becomes a beggar on the streets, but he will try to find out the happiness in these 4 aspects only. Ahar, Nidra, Bhay and Maithun. Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, he says, out of these 4, Ahar, Nidra and Bhay gives more trouble and anxiety to the living entities other than 3. So today we will discuss about this Bhay as guided by Abhay Charanarvinda Swami Srila Prabhupada, that is our beloved founder Acharya. So I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas over here to speak on this exalted topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. How many of you want to become Abhay, Nirbhay or fearless? Nobody? Yeah, we have to count how many. Almost everyone, isn't it? So I'll try something to discuss about it. We'll discuss the birthplace of fear and how it functions, where it all pervades, and the solution to fear. The same Maharaj Nimi who is saying about fear, here, when he hosted the Navayogendras at his assembly, and we find the description in the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 37th verse. Therein you find the birthplace of fear. Bhayam dvitiyabhiniveshatasyat ishadape tasya viparyo smritihi tam mayayato buddha abhajetam bhaktaika esham gurudevatatma. This bhaya and this fear only takes birth there where someone forgets Krishna. Bhayam dvitiya abhi. When someone forgets the connection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dvitiya, second. Something he separates, viparyo smritihi. And he understands it viparitam, in an opposite direction. Then only fear takes place. That's why in this material world where everything is directed towards sense gratification, a living entity tends to forget Krishna, and because of that forgetfulness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is always fearful. It doesn't matter who one is. The big who's who of the world, they are also fearful. Not only of this material world, of this planetary system, even in the higher planetary system, the big Dikpalas and Lokpalas are also fearful. That's why Kapil Dev in the 3rd canto, while instructing to his mother, Devahuti, he says in the 25th chapter, it's 42nd verse, Madbhayad vati vatoyam suryas tapati madbhayat varshati agni varshati indro dahati agnir mrutyushcharati madbhayat. Just because of my fear, these Dikpalas and Lokpalas and demigods are working, my dear mother. This wind is blowing out of my fear. Madbhayat vati vatoyam. Suryas tapati madbhayat. Even the sun god is giving its heat and light out of fear from me. Indra is showering rain and supplying water just because of my fear. Agni is becoming heater and heater. It's giving heat just because of my fear. Even the god of death is also running away, and he is fearful just out of fear from me. So these big demigods and Dikpalas and Lokpalas are also fearful. What to speak of us? Tiny living entities. Everyone is fearful, just as Nimi Maharaj is saying here. An insignificant fish in the water is also fearful. Matsyanam udake yatha. So there was a king named Bhartruhari. He wrote one Vairagya Shatak, 100 verses glorifying Vairagya. So in the former days, in the olden days, they used to also perform centuries, Shatak. This concept is prevalent since ages. King Indra only, if somebody does 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas, he can become Indra. In fact, Indra's one name is Shatakartu. And he doesn't allow anyone else to perform this century. Even if Prithu Maharaj tries, he will try to still, he stole the horse. He doesn't allow anyone else to become centurion. This concept is prevalent since ages together. Nowadays we know only in the context of cricket. If somebody does this cricketer or that cricketer 100 runs in the field, then he is celebrated. But in those days, they used to perform the centuries with yagyas, sacrifices. And if he is a king, he used to do with yagyas. If he is a brahmana or pandit, he used to do shatak, centuries, with shlokas, Sanskrit. Just as we know, Keshav Kashmiri, in glorifying Mother Ganga, he glorified in 100 choicest verses. We know Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, while glorifying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he performed century. Sarvabhaum Shatak. And then we have this Bharturu Hari. His entire life is very amazing, interesting. He had a very beautiful, amorous wife. Out of attachment to that wife, he had composed Shringar Shatak. How beautiful she is. So, first century from Bharturu Hari. And when he found out that his wife was having another paramour, he became Vairagi, a renounced person. And he wrote another Shatak, Vairagya Shatak. So it's a concept since ages together. And nowadays we are so perverted. Just some foolish people are running here and there, and we are saying we are giving them billions of dollars and rupees, isn't it? They become our celebrities. So in that Vairagya Shatak, Maharaj Bhartruhari, he mentions who all are fearful, who all are victims of fear. Bhoge roga bhayam. One who is a sense enjoyer, he has always fear of diseases. For example, one who does atyahar, a lot of eating, a diabetic patient or a normal person also, if he does a lot of eating, if he eats a lot, then he will have that fear of disease. If a diabetic patient eats too much of sweets, we know what happens. Bhoge roga bhayam. Even though he's a billionaire or she's a billionaire, they can't eat much. Roga bhayam. I know some of the ministers, they are controlling entire belt of sugar factories, dozens of sugar factories, but they can't eat even a morsel of sugar, even one spoon of sugar. Why? Bhoge roga bhayam, kule chuti bhayam. And one who is having an aristocratic family and dynasty, they have the fear of getting a useless son, a descendant. We know the story in Indian politics. There was a family who was controlling India over a few decades. But just because of one person who is not so intelligent, the entire family or dynasty is ruining now. Kule chuti bhayam. Vitten rupalat bhayam. And one who is having a lot of riches, fortune, money, specifically black money, they are fearful of the king or the administrator. We know, we have the experience of demonetization in India. How people were so much of fearful because they were holding black money. People try to save taxes in so many ways. So many ways. Vitten rupalat bhayam. Maune dainya bhayam. And if these two friends are keeping maun because of some reason, then they fear, you know what? Who will speak first? Who will say sorry? That fear is there. So one person was telling that, I am saying sorry not because I am wrong, but I am saying sorry just because I value the relationship. So maune dainya bhayam. Bale ripum bhayam. So one who is very powerful, they have the fear of their enemies. So that's why the biggest country of the world, that is America, they are always fearful of this North Korea. And the North Koreans are fearful of Americans, or Russia is fearful of America. But they are very powerful, but they are always fearful of their enemies. Bale ripum bhayam, rupe jarayam bhayam. And one who is beautiful, they are fearful of aging, old age. Jai Shri Shri Radharaj Bihari Bhagavan ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Rupe jarayam bhayam. And one who is beautiful, he is fearful of old age, growing age. That's why we see today the cosmetic industry is flourishing so much. All the beauty parlors and all this, decorating items are sold at so high cost, premium cost, so unimaginable. You can't believe if you are bald, there are no hair on the head, and if you want to grow, they charge you about 1 lakh rupees. And depending upon the portion of your head, if it is totally bald, it may cost up to 2 lakh rupees also. Yesterday in Sakinaka, one person died because of hair transplant surgery. Because he was growing old, so he thought of getting some hair on his head. So he paid huge amount of money to die. Rupe jarayam bhayam. Recently one Bollywood actress is very furious and very angry. Very angry from Kapoor family. She is very angry nowadays. You know why? Day before yesterday somebody called her auntie. How dare you can call me as auntie? Do you think I'm becoming old? And that's the Bollywood buzz that's going on nowadays. Rupe jarayam bhayam. Shastre vad bhayam. And in the Shastras and the learned people, they have the fear that nobody should come and challenge me in the public. Otherwise, how will I answer? I'm a learned person, you know. Gune khala bhayam. And one who is popular and known with all good qualities, he is fearful of his own mistakes. मेरे को ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. काये कृतांतात् भयम. Sarva vastu bhayanvitam. So Bhartruhari says, Sarva vastu, every living entity, every living being, everyone is fearful of something. So he says, Bhuvi nunanam vairagyam eva bhayam. So that's why one who is a vairagi, in this material world, one is a renounced person, only he can remain abhay or nirbhay, fearless. He is glorifying vairagis nowadays because he is writing Vairagya Shatak. He is making a century here with the shlokas of Vairagya. Vairagyam eva bhayam. Why it is like that? Vairagi, they can become fearful. They have the opportunity to remain fearful. But in Kali Yuga, we see that also is very difficult. We find the answer in the 2nd canto, 4th chapter, 2nd verse. While glorifying Parikshit Maharaj, it is said, Atmajaya sutagaro pashu dravina bandhushu rajye cha vikale nityam virudham mamatam jaho. Maharaj Parikshit, he surrendered all these 7 things in his life. Everybody has these 7 things, 7 attachments. Everyone. So what all those? Atma. Atma means body. Here body in this context. Atma, Jaya means wife. Atma, Jaya, Suta means children. Atma, Jaya, Suta, Agar, house. Because as soon as one gets married, he begets children, he needs a house. Atma, Jaya, Suta, Agar, Pashu. Pashu, in those days, they used to ride on chariots, elephants, horses. That's why it is vehicle. And nowadays it should be written Vahanam. BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Fortuner, whatever is there, Innova, whatever is there. Pashu. And to maintain all this, one requires Dravina, money, to maintain all this. And if you have all these things, initial 5, to maintain initial 5 you require money, that is 6th. And if you have 6th one also, you will have bandhushu. You will have other friends, relatives and everyone. So Parikshit Maharaj had all these things at its best. His body was personally protected in the womb by Lord Krishna. And his wife was so faithful, his children were so powerful and intelligent, and everything was at its best. But still, he gave away. He just surrendered at the lotus feet of Shukdev Goswami. So, if somebody becomes a Vairagi, renounced, a brahmachari, in one stroke, out of these 7, 6 are cut off. No wife means no children, not requirement of any apartment, house, bungalow or hut, no vehicles, no need of any money to maintain all of it, and no need of any friends or relatives. So at one stroke, all are broken. Only what remains is body. That's why you will find with the brahmacharis specifically, क्या हो गया प्रभु? Back pain. क्या हो गया प्रभु? Knee pain. You will find their complaints like this. Always with related to health. क्या हो गया प्रभु? Hernia. This and that. You will always have these problems regarding to body. All the complaints, indigestion, badajmi, constipation. It does not mean that in the Grihastha ashramas these problems are not there in the related to body. They are there. But other things are so big, these are neglected only. That's why. So problems are everywhere, in every ashrama. If one surrenders to Krishna, either in Grihastha ashram or Brahmacharya ashram, naturally all his attachments, even to bodies also, go away. Right at the birth time of Parikshit Maharaj, when Uttara Devi was attacked by the Brahmastra of Drauni, Ashwathama, she comes and surrenders to Krishna. Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate bhaktanam abhayankara. You are the only one who can give abhay to your devotees. So she surrenders and Krishna saves the Garbhankur in her womb. Santana Bijam Kuru Pandavanam. That's the only seed of Kuru and Pandava's dynasties. And we know the story when the Shringi boy cursed Parikshit Maharaj that he would die within 7 days. Parikshit Maharaj came and surrendered to Shukdev Goswami. Then Shukdev Goswami gives him very nice and very relevant order that he tells this second chapter, second canto, first verse, 5th shloka. If you want to be fearless, my dear King Parikshit, tasmat bharata sarvatma bhagavan ishvaro harihi shrotavyah kirtitavyascha smartavyascha chatabhayam. If you want to become fearless, abhay, if you desire abhay in your life, then you should do these things. Shrotavya, Shravan, Kirtavya, Kirtan and Smaran. Of whom? Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma. Sarvatma, that is Krishna. Bhagavan, that is Krishna. Ishvara, the Supreme Controller, that is Krishna. And Hari, that is Krishna. So you should surrender and hear, chant and remember about Krishna. Then he asks, how? I am having so many desires. Doesn't matter. Akamaha sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether somebody has all desires or somebody is a pure devotee or a moksha kami, everyone can surrender to Krishna intensely. Again the question was asked. Intensely means how? What do you mean by intensity? So Srila Prabhupada tells in the Chatushloki Bhagavatam's purport, in the same second canto, he writes in that purport of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, this is the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, given by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. That is, second canto, first verse, second canto, first chapter, 11th verse. Etan nirvidyamananam. He says, Etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam kuto bhayam yoginam rupa nirnitam harer namanu kirtanam. There are three kinds of people. One is akamaha, a pure devotee like Prabhupada. And sarva kamova, one who is having all the desires. And third is moksha kama, one who is having desires for liberation. Like 4 Kumaras and Shukadeva Goswami, former Shukadeva Goswami. So all this person, they can do one thing. Etan nirvidyamananam, it is already pre-decided. Ichchatama kuto bhayam, akuto bhayam, one who wants to become firmly fearless. Abhay. Harer namanu kirtanam. They should chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. And this word Anu means the Acharyas have explained in Parampara. This word Anu has two meanings. Anu Kramanika means index, that is Parampara. And second is constantly, Anukshani. Constantly one should chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and take shelter. That is called as intense devotional service, irrespective of our position. Either a karmi like Ajamila or a pure devotee like a Brajavasi. Everyone should chant constantly. That is the standing order given by Shukadeva Goswami and Srila Prabhupada guides as the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam in the Chatushloki Bhagavatam's purport. So, then you will become fearless. We know in the past time or in the context of Ajamil, Ajamil was in his deathbed, and as soon as he saw these Yamadutas, the messengers of Yamaraj, what he did? He called out his son, Narayana, and he went back home, back to Godhead. He was calling his son. That's why Shukadeva Goswami says, Mriyamano harirnama grunan putropacharitam ajamilopi agadhama kimuta shraddhaya grunan. Grunan putropacharitam. He was calling his son. He was not calling Lord Narayana. He was calling Ajamil Nandan Narayan, his own son. Actually, there is amazing contrast between Gajendra and Ajamil. Ajamil was calling his son, and he did not know this Narayan is also Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ananta Koti Brahmanda Nayak Satchidananda Bhagavan. He did not know that. He was calling his son. And here, in the pastime of Gajendra, if you see his prayers in the 8th canto, he says, Shri Gajendra Vacha, Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmayata Etat Chidatmakam Purushaya Adi Bijaya Pare Shaya Vidhimayi. He chants the secondary names of the God. He says Om Ananta Koti Brahmanda Nayak Satchidananda Paramatma Parameshwar. He never says Hari, he never says Narayana, Govinda, Vishnu, he never says that. So here is the amazing contrast. Ajamil does not know that, or did not know that Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Gajendra did not know that Supreme Personality of Godhead is called as Narayana. But both of them, they got the same destination. Because Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardana. They called out with intensity, that tivrata, that helpless mood was the sum and substance that was considered by Krishna while delivering them. So that's why even the fear of death and Yamaraj was protected, they were protected by Krishna in this way. So if we take shelter in that intensity, then Krishna and Guru Parampara will save us. There is a very true story. This happened few decades before. There was a disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I believe I remember he was initiated in 1933 or somewhere, in the same year which Prabhupada was initiated also. So in 1936, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur went back to Godhead. Thereafter, this devotee left Krishna consciousness, this particular devotee, and he succumbed to so many sinful activities, very, very abominable activities, and eventually he died. When he died, he was taken to crematorium. He was carried, you know how Bengalis, they carry on the shoulders, 4 shoulders. He was carried and he was put on the pyre, funeral pyre. Suddenly woke up, chanting, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. And people could not understand what happened. Some people started running here and there, bhoot, 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 like that. And then he started narrating. When I left my body, when I was dead, then the messengers of Yamaraj took me to their abode in front of Yamaraj. And Yamaraj asked my account to his secretary Chitragupta. And Chitragupta said, no, very sinful person. He has done all sorts of mischievous activities. See if there is any good quality. One good quality is there. He is the disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. So as soon as Yamaraj heard that he is the disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he immediately closed his eyes. And in front of his eyes appeared his divine grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. And Yamaraj did not report anything to him. He understood everything. What is the problem? And Saraswati Thakur, he started rebuking his disciple. You rascal! When I left the planet, you also left Krishna consciousness and you started all sinful activities. You were supposed to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you were supposed to follow all the formulated principles, and you have given up everything just for some paltry pleasure of this material world. And he started rebuking on and on and on in front of Yamaraj and Chitragupta and all messengers of Yamaduta. And he became very ashamed that my guru was, not only chastising, but he was in front of Yamaraj and he also had to come here just because of my sinful activities. So, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was narrating, that devotee is narrating. Then Prabhupada said, he requested Yamaraj that give him one chance. And Yamaraj gave him one chance. Then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ordered him, now you go and take initiation from Bhakti Dait Madhav Goswami Maharaj, my disciple. And start again Krishna consciousness, start again Bhakti. And he started. Then he came to Bhakti Dait Madhav Goswami Maharaj. And he was about to narrate the story. He said, I already know everything. And he initiated him. Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. So, this verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam's 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 37th verse, it mentions everything. The birth of fear and the solution of fear also. Bhayam dvitiyabhiniveshatasya ishadapetasya viparyo smritihi tam mayayato buddha abhajetam bhaktaik esham guru devatatma. Krishna and Guru, they both save the living entity from this bhaya, and nobody else can save us. And we see in the story of this great devotee, a disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, how he was saved, and it is a true story. This happened just few decades before. I don't know the exact year, but this I heard from some senior devotees. So this is possible. Krishna and Prabhupada can save us from this fear of Yamaraj and death also, from all sorts of fear. Once one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, how do you feel after chanting? Prabhupada closed his eyes and he said, fearless. I don't feel any fear. Actually, Prabhupada's answer at different times and different contexts is very perfect, precise, and we can hold seminars over one sentence and one word also. Fearless. As his name goes, Abhay Charana Arvind. His father named him Abhay Charan. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he just added Arvind. Abhay Charana Arvind Das initially. Thereafter he was given the degree of Bhakti Vedanta by his god brothers, seeing his scholarship. And thereafter his disciples in ISKCON started calling him Prabhupada. That's how we have this glorious title for Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Kripa Shrimurti Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Samsthapak Acharya, Antarashtriya International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He was fearless because Krishna was always with him. That's why he could dare at the age of 70 to go to America on a voyage and to start this worldwide organization. But Srila Prabhupada, he said, I have one concern, that my Western disciples are not enough fearful of Maya. So whatever Prabhupada said about Western people, it applies to Indians also, because they are westernized. Almost everything is now, rather we could say more westernized, more degraded sometimes. So Prabhupada had this concern that we are not enough fearful of Maya. So this factor fear can be used in Krishna consciousness in a positive aspect also. It's called as healthy fear. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Sarartha Darshani, the commentary of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he writes in the beginning chapters, when Devaki and Vasudeva were in the prison. That time, she gave birth to 6 consecutive children, and Kansa came and killed all of them mercilessly. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, these 6 children, who were they? They were Shad Garbhasurats. In their previous lives, they were sons of Marichi. The direct son of Brahma was Marichi, and they were sons of Marichi, 6 of them. And when they saw Brahma was slightly agitated, apparently, they started laughing at Brahmaji, these 6 kids. Then immediately, these 6 children were cursed to become demons. So they took birth in the family of Hiranyakashipu as the grandson of Hiranyakashipu, the sons of Kalanemi. Kalanemi was also son of Hiranyakashipu sometime. From some wives, he had so many wives. So they became sons of Kalanemi, and they started performing austerities. And when Hiranyakashipu saw that my grandsons are performing austerities, it was like competition for him. Only I can do austerities. So he cursed them. That your father, you take birth on earthly planets, and your father will kill you in the next life. Because he only had instigated them to perform austerities. That Kalanemi becomes Kansa. Kalanemi becomes Kansa, and these 6 children, they take birth from the womb of Devaki. And as the curse effected, Kansa only came and killed all of them. And the Acharya says, Devaki represents a sadhaka, and Kansa represents the fear of Maya. Healthy fear of Maya. That healthy fear of Maya can kill all the anarthas within our heart. Kama, Krodh, Lobh, Madha, Moha, Matsari. All the anarthas within our heart. And then only we'll properly receive the mercy of Guru, that is Baladev. And then only Krishna will appear within our hearts. So that's why we should always try to intensely surrender to the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and instructions of the Shastras, Guru Sadhu Shastras, our immediate authorities also as well as. And try to see every aspect of life in connection with Krishna. The fear starts only when we forget Krishna's connection. Just like when I always quote this example, if a surgeon is giving injection, and if we see the hand of a surgeon behind the injection, we don't feel so much pain, isn't it? But if we see somebody else's hand, what happens? That's exactly, Krishna is the supreme surgeon. He's trying to rectify the living entities into this material world. And he's giving some sort of miseries, some sort of pains, and some rewards also as well. But if you forget Krishna behind that sin and mercy, then the trouble starts. That's why the great poet Govinda Kaviraj, he says, Bhajahu re mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. He was the younger brother of Ramachandra Kaviraj. These both were disciples of Srinivas Acharya. And how Govinda Kaviraj was born, you know? Their father was a staunch follower of Durga Devi. His name was Shivai Acharya or something. He was very, very staunch follower of Durga Devi. And when Govind Kaviraj was in the womb of his mother, he was not coming out only. So many months had happened. And then his father Shivai Acharya, he prayed to Durga Devi, let my son take birth as soon as possible. I will offer him back to you as prasad or bhoga. So then the son was born. And as he was about to offer sacrifice, the savior, the head of that baby, his wife started crying. Then again that Durga Devi appeared in the dream and said, let him live. You can do one thing, you can perform abhishekam of my sword and you can make him drink that water, charnamrita of that sword. He will be my devotee only. Don't worry. So that's how he was given the charnamrita of Durga Devi, that sword, and he becomes such a staunch follower of Durga. No matter his elder brother Ramachandra Kaviraj, he tried to canvass and preach him so many ways, but he never became. So one time what happened, he fell very, 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 very sick and he was about to die. So this place is called Telia Budri on the banks of Padma River. It's a border of Bangladesh. I had the good fortune to visit that place. So Telia Budri. See, he was about to die. Then Ramachandra Kaviraj requests his Guru Maharaj, Srinivas Acharya. Then Srinivas Acharya goes there and he puts his lotus feet on his head. And as soon as he touches his head with his lotus feet, he immediately comes to proper consciousness. He rejuvenates his health and he becomes very nice, and healthy. Then he understands the Guru's mercy. Bhaktaika esham Guru Devatatma. He comes out of that fear from the death. And he writes this bhajan. Bhajahu re mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Bhajahu re mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Durlabha manava janama satsange taraho ye bhava sindhure. Taraho ye bhava sindhure. शीत आतप बात बारिशन यदि न जामिनी जागिरे। विफल सेवेनो कृपा दुर्जना चपल सुखल भलागिरे। ए धन यौवन पुत्र परिजन एथे किया छे परती तीरे। कमल दल जल जीवन तलमल कमल दल जल जीवन तलमल भजहु हरि पद नीति रे। श्रवण कीर्तन स्मरण वंदन पाद सेवन दास्य रे। पूजन सखी जन आत्मनिवेदन पूजन सखी जन आत्मनिवेदन गोविंद दास अभिलाष रे। भजहु रे मन श्री नंद नंदन अभय चरणारविंद रे। अभय चरणारविंद रे। So if we take shelter of this Bhagwan, then we become fearless, Abhay Charan. So far we have been discussing about 1 hour. If we take shelter of Krishna, we become fearless. But that same Krishna, he is fearful of Mother Yashoda. Maharani Kunti, while praying in the first canto, 8th chapter, 31st verse, she says, गोप्याददे त्वयि कृतांगसिदाम तावत् याते दशाश्रुकलिलाञ्जन सम्भ्रमाक्षं वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनया स्मितस्य सा मां विमोहयति भीरपि यद्बिभेति. Although your fear is fear personified is fearful of yours. The personified fear is always fearful of your personality, your power, but you are fearful when Mother Yashoda is coming with a stick to bind him with the ropes. So this always samam vimohyati. So if you take shelter of Krishna, we become fearless. But that same Krishna is fearful of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba, specifically Mother Yashoda. So that will require another session. We'll discuss sometime later. So if we take shelter of this Krishna, who is fearful of Mother Yashoda's stick, we become fearless. So in summary, we discussed about how the fear causes a lot of anxiety to the living entity, and every living entity in this material world is fearful. In that we saw all the Dikpaladas and Devatas are fearful. Then we saw Bhartruhari's description of how various people are fearful, the Bhogi, the powerful, the beautiful, everyone is fearful. Then we saw how Parikshit Maharaj, he took shelter of Shukdev Goswami and became fearless. Thereafter we discussed about the contrast between Gajendra and Ajamil, and we saw the story of that glorious disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, how he became fearless, he was saved, and how Srila Prabhupada, he says, I am fearless because of taking shelter of Krishna. Then we discuss about how the healthy fear of Maya is always good for our progress in Krishna consciousness. And we also heard about how Srinivas Acharya saves this great Kaviraj, Govind Kaviraj, who wrote this famous bhajan about becoming fearless. So we'll stop here. Dhanyavad, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. If anybody has any comments, it's Grace Mukund Madhav Prabhu. Any comments?
हरे कृष्ण। तो सूर्य भगवान जो है उनके पिता कश्यप ऋषि है, उनके माता आदिति है और उनका पत्नी संज्ञा है और उसका बेटा है यमराज और उसका दूसरा बेटा है शनिदेव और जमुना जो है ये यमराज के बहन बोली जाती है। हरे कृष्ण।
थैंक यू। Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.